Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Joe and welcome to a brand new video. Now I initially had a video planned for today, and as I was recording gameplay I was getting gradually more and more frustrated with the game, to the point where I'm literally making a video just talking about stuff that myself and the community hates and really kind of gets under our skin about Team Fortress 2. So this is going to be 10 things about Team Fortress 2 that we hate. So this is going to be coming from my personal experience with the game with over 1,700 hours, and it's also going to be coming from my community's perspective, where I put out this tweet essentially asking people to tell me stuff that they hate or the one thing that really grinds their gears about Team Fortress 2. And I've had so many responses, it's actually insane how many responses I've had, to the point where if this video goes down well, I will most definitely be doing a part 2. So if you'd like to see a part 2, once you've watched this video, hit that like button and let me know down in the comments below. Also, I thought I'd add this as a little editor's note. Just because I'm saying these things, this doesn't mean I hate Team Fortress 2 at all. Obviously, I love the game, I've been making videos on it and playing it for years, and just because there are a few things that get under my skin, that doesn't necessarily mean I hate the game as a whole. There's things I hate about every game I play, and I'm sure you guys are all the same as well. But without further ado, let's get straight into the first thing. So the first thing, and I think this one was pretty predictable and one that most people would probably say, is how infrequently the game's updated. I mean, it's not even anything directly related to the game, it's just the dev team and just overall how the lack of communication from Valve when it comes to the game being updated and the lack of new content being put into the game is quite possibly one of the main things wrong with the game at the moment, and I don't think anyone can necessarily disagree with that. The game isn't necessarily becoming stale, especially for most people, but if there's no content put into the game, that's an inevitability that's going to happen. So I definitely think the one thing that's on most people's lists is just the lack of communication from Valve and the lack of updates. It wouldn't be a things we hate about Team Fortress 2 video without mentioning this next thing, and this next thing surprisingly popped up a very large amount of times. This is random crits. And this is a love or a hate thing. Obviously there's the big debate of whether random crits are good or bad for the game. I'm relatively neutral. It's great when you get them, it's awful when you get hit by them. But either way, it's such a strange mechanic to have in the game where a game can be tipped on its head due to one random critical hit being in place. Whether you love them or you hate them, you can't deny that the chances are they've gotten under your skin at one point or another, and for that reason they deserve the place on the list of things we hate in Team Fortress 2. Now this next one is a bug that I was experiencing in the gameplay for this video. I'm going to show some footage of it on the screen right now. If you have unusual weapons and you swap out to your secondary and then swap back out to the unusual primary, the effect just goes. Why is that a bug? Why is that not been fixed yet in all the years unusual weapons have been in the game? With third weapons it's fine, you can swap to your melee and back, the unusual weapon stays intact. Why is it when you swap to the secondary and back, the unusual effect disappears? There is literally no reason for this bug to be in the game. And whilst we're talking about bugs, also in the footage of this you may notice at some point that I get killed by an invisible soldier. That is another thing that most people probably hate about Team Fortress 2. It's relatively easy to fix. You have to go into the console, start recording a demo, and then stop recording a demo. And for some reason that will fix the invisible class glitch. But why is that a glitch in the first place? I don't know one other game where you go into it and for some reason you just get killed by an invisible class that you can only fix by starting to record a demo and stopping it. It's such an obscure glitch that really has no place in the game. This next one applies particularly to casual, and this is one that was mentioned a fair amount of times: AUTOBALANCE. Do you know how frustrating it is when you've been putting in work for your team, you're just about to cap that last point, and you die and you're like, oh, it's all good, we're about to win the game anyway. Oh, I've been auto-balanced. Well, me I guess, right? Like, it's literally the worst part when you pretty much give yourself a match loss because you've been working for the other team pretty much the whole game and get auto-balanced in the dying moments of it. I genuinely think that's got to be up there with one of the most kick in the balls things this game has to offer. This one was mentioned a lot as well. This is the economy, and this goes a lot wider than perhaps just simple things such as the price of keys and all of that. I mean, there's just so many aspects of the economy which is relatively frustrating. Unusual trading bots, and just overall the trading scene in general is a bit of a shambles, but you know, it is what it is, and it can just make purchasing and selling items a lot more frustrating than maybe a few years back when keys were a lot more stable and refined held a bit more value. I just think trading now compared to back in the day is just a lot more challenging, and it's near enough impossible to do like a nothing to something where you literally start with a scrap and go to an unusual. It would be very difficult to do it in this modern day and age. But nonetheless, I feel like trading and the economy as a whole definitely deserves a place on the list, especially if you're a bit of a boomer like me and you miss the old days of trading. It can be nice just to look back and be like, things were so much simpler back then. This next one was a bit of an odd one, but so many people seem to mention it to the point where I literally couldn't not talk about it. A lot of people seem to say the community, and I can understand certain aspects of this. For example, if you're new to Man vs Machine and you queue into a game of Man vs Machine and you want to kind of know the ropes, it can be incredibly tricky to do so. People aren't necessarily very willing to teach people, and they'll be very mean and just kick you from the game. It makes it near enough impossible to actually learn how to play Man vs Machine from experience, and it's definitely a very toxic aspect of the community. Also, places like r/TF2 can be very mean and unforgiving to YouTubers, content creators, artists, etc. Like if you just search YouTuber's name and read about what they have to say, it can bring up some very interesting results. Same with the Steam discussions in Team Fortress 2, exactly the same, where a lot of people are kind of toxic, and then there's people that spam racist stuff in chat and target specific people in game because they're YouTubers or because they're streaming, stream snipers, just everything like that. There are very certain aspects of the community that are toxic and just make the game a lot less enjoyable to play, and I guess that it's definitely worth mentioning. Don't get me wrong, that's not me saying I don't like the community. Obviously, it's like a vocal minority that I'm kind of talking about here. The majority of the community is fine and very receptive and just overall very friendly, but of course every community has bad eggs, and I guess this is just another example of that. The fact so many people wanted me to talk about it makes it very clear to me that it's definitely an ongoing issue. Now, it wouldn't be a video about things we hate in Team Fortress 2 if I didn't talk about the MANNCO store. I feel like at some point or another, the vast majority of people playing Team Fortress 2 have been robbed absolutely blind by the MANNCO store. The extortionate prices of both weapons and cosmetics are not made clear unless you have a valid concept and like a solid grasp of how trading works. And before you kind of learn the economy in Team Fortress 2, you don't realise how ridiculously overpriced everything in the store is. People are paying more than £1 for a weapon, when you can literally buy it for a scrap, which equates to less than 1p. I've made a full video about the MANNCO store, but this is definitely something that the vast majority of TF2 players can relate to at some point or another. Up next is a really weird one, and I guess it kind of carries out into another side, but the weird bot lobbies you get sometimes when you queue into casual. So imagine the scene. You're sat on a nice sunny day and you think, I'm going to play some Team Fortress 2. You queue for a game, any casual mode, presumably King of the Hill or something. You get into the game and you notice that everyone on your team is a sniper. Everyone on the other team is also a sniper, all with identical pings. They're spinning around just shouting the same thing over and over again, and you realise you've been put into one of those weird bot lobbies. I have no clue what these are, I have no clue how these even happen, but for some reason I seem to get put on them on a semi-regular basis. It's not necessarily a huge issue, you just leave the game and queue into the next one, but it's just such a waste of time and just really obscure to kind of just be in a lobby like that. I guess these kind of come under the same thing because a lot of people were kind of talking about this and they're both not necessarily real players in a sense, and this is hackers, so I'm going to kind of include the weird bot things and hackers in the same kind of line. Hackers in Team Fortress 2 are a huge issue. I mean, the game's free to play, so naturally it attracts people to hack, and I mean, they could just make another account when they get banned, right? It is a huge issue, and when you get sniped in the head by a spin-botting sniper, it is incredibly frustrating, and when the other team doesn't kick them as well, that's always so frustrating. Generally, they queue with a few people as well, so there's always people to vote no, and just generally, it kind of ruins that casual matchmaking experience. And finally guys, the 10th thing we're going to be talking about is in-game competitive and just how much of a flop it kind of was. Now don't get me wrong, I think competitive is fun and it actually has a lot of potential, but the queue times are nothing short of atrocious. The last time I played, it would literally take me between 5 to 15, maybe 20 minutes to even get into a game. And once you do get into a game, it will go one of two ways. You'll either get completely stomped or you will completely stomp the other team. There's no two ways about it. That is just the only two possible outcomes in Team Fortress 2's competitive matchmaking. This would most likely be fixed if more people started playing it, but yeah, I just think as a whole and as it stands at the moment, the Team Fortress 2 built-in competitive is definitely something that everyone hates. But guys, that is just about it for this video. If you did enjoy, then please do remember to leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this and general gaming content, then do be sure to subscribe. If there's comments of things you guys hate and enough comments of things you guys hate down below, I will make a part 2 if people want to see it. So yeah, thanks again so much for watching, guys, and peace. Show me the bar, you know that I'm raising it. Dodge negativity on some matrix shit, cause I was made for this. See all these men around me, run around chasing some basic bits. On these lazy pricks, expect everything in life to come straight to them on a plate with chips. And never taking risks, and that's why I stand out from the crowd. I'm old school like